Sensei John Small with the Western Mountain Jiu-Jitsu Society, and this video is about Kuzushi. It's a follow-up to my first one. As I reviewed that one, I realized just how much has been left unsaid. I decided I wanted to go ahead and expand on a couple points from that video and take some things further. The first being about the opponent's intentions, where his energies are going, and the stance orientation. If you refer to my first video, you recall I spoke of our stances being, our feet are 2 points on the ground and with a line between them. A perpendicular line to that line is where you find his weaknesses, his vulnerabilities. He's easily unbalanced in those directions. And I spoke of how Kuzushi is always naturally happening, but our own efforts to balance prevent us from falling. So if you consider that action of walking or stepping, people often get into the rhythms where if they take a step back, they're ready to be taking another step back. And a lot of times you can anticipate that and be ready. You see that first step back go, and you're ready for the next one. And you know, ideally you have a category of throws ready to put that you are ready to apply in one direction or another. For myself, a lot of times, for example, the step goes back, and I'm thinking of either maybe something like an ogoshi or a taitoshi in that direction, or a osotogari off in that direction, or a kosotogari, or I could do a left side ouchigari. I'm sorry, not kosotogari, kouchigari, or left side ouchigari. So those are some examples of how I might think in terms of being ready to hop on a moment. And when I speak of that moment of where you catch him with his stance weak and you're able to apply unbalancing principles. So let's take that a little further now, back into those unbalancing principles. Just to review, I illustrated in the previous video that concept of sticking with your opponent and making yourself like a ball, and in that manner, ideally being able to throw him. So if you think of being able to get below that center and getting in and sticking with your opponent, and then turning yourself into the ball, and he goes over the top. You have to have the energies and the Kuzushis working in your favor in that regard. And I spoke of some of that in terms of a push-pull concept, how you can pull on one side, push on another. You can really affect how the shoulder girdle rotates. In that same way, how you affect the shoulder girdle, it's all connected. So I have a shoulder girdle going one way. You're going to find that if I can keep that shoulder girdle going that way, it does not facilitate him stepping forward with his right foot, for example. So you can utilize these principles and then begin to, you know, turn those straight energies into circular energies, as you may need to. Again, horizontally, as I referenced in the last video, that applies real well to like a taitoshi type throw. You're taking a straight energy, maybe even something, say, out of a punch, and turning it all very circular to make the taitoshi throw happen. So the other thing I didn't talk about, I led into that, speaking of the push-pull like this. So what I didn't speak to, and I want to expand on, is the other obvious things are a push-push and a pull-pull. And of course you can have variations of these principles in, again, any of all the directions of that 360-degree sphere of play. So by that I mean, for example, my push-push doesn't have to be back. There can be a sideways kind of push-push both ways. There can be a push-pull sideways action going on. There's the up-down factor. This can really, you think of something like Sode Suri Komi Goshi, where you're really thinking of driving upward. There's a lot of there's a 360-degree range in which you can apply the push-pull, the push-push, or the pull-pull. You really think in terms of something like Nage. And when it comes to applying this, I refer to my video on deeper stances. That's one place I think that I allude to that, being able to tap into the energies of gravity, for example. And there's ways you can, when you go to apply a Kuzushi, you're looking for one of two ways. Either take the opponent's energy and use that, something that he's already providing and giving you, or create energy from your opponent, really being able to anticipate. As an example, if I pulled against him, a lot of people's inclination is to resist that and pull back against that. So if I give a pull this way, but I know I ultimately want to take him that way, I can use that as a way to set him up, so to speak. He resists that and goes back, and I'm ready for it, and I'm right there with him, and that's how I can achieve Kuzushi and unbalancing. But the other thing is really, as I say, looking at getting deep into stances potentially. That's places where you can really get explosive. I like to think in terms of that, in terms of that push-push. Well, both the push-push and the pull-pull. You start by really tapping into that gravity, as I spoke of in the deeper stances video. But from this place, you're in a good explosive place to drive up through somebody, and you can really apply a lot of that push-push kind of energy. And then take advantage of that into some sort of throw that takes them over backwards. Likewise, if you're really driving backwards against somebody, they tend to want to resist that. And if you catch in that moment of resistance, you drive back against somebody, and then now you suddenly turn it into a pull, or that circular, a throw that'll take them over the top. In those ways, you're kind of looking to anticipate where he's about to go with his energies. And again, the footwork is something that you want to pay attention to, so you can time yourself well in harmony with his vulnerabilities. So that's pretty much it. The only other point I'll make is really the concept of the principle of Ju. This idea of gentleness. You yield and overcome. The reeds blow over easy in a strong wind and lay down against the ground, whereas the strong oak tree stands up against the wind. But that wind blows harder and harder. Ultimately, that oak tree can snap and break. It doesn't get back up. Regardless of how hard those winds were blowing, when they've passed, the reeds stand back up. And you find that principle illustrated in the Tao Te Ching right off the bat. Yield and overcome. And that is the principle of Ju. Ju means gentleness. Jiu-jitsu, the gentle art, or Judo, the gentle way. And so use that as the guiding concept when you're thinking of applying Kuzushi. He pushes against you. Just yield to that push. Don't be there. Pull on him. Or if he pulls on you, just go gently with it and push in the process. So you're really just taking his energy and adding some of your own to it. And in that way, you take him beyond his balance. You take him out of balance. And that, I think, really is the ultimate core principle in Kuzushi, just being purely gentle. So, I hope that gives you a better idea about Kuzushi and how to use it and how to apply it. どうも、ありがとうございました。さよなら。